Welcome! Give it up for the Mad Doctor, Adega Outlaw! Light the fires for Stone Cold Loki! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 7 Kinds of Mischief! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I could hear it this time. Yay!
Oh, man, how are you doing? Adega Outlaw is here with us. Of course he is. It's Thursday night. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Good evening. Doing very well, thank you. No, it's been good. My son, who's been away for a while, his excursions are over after a couple of years, and he's getting his college stuff all set up and everything. It's been fun to have him around after a while. Things have been going good. I don't know, charmed life, I guess, amidst all the troubles that are going on. A small town living pays off.
We got a hoo-ah out of Mr. DB this morning, or this. Oh my God! I almost said this morning. Tonight, maybe tonight. Brain function properly.
Take your vitamins, kids.
Take your vitamins. And which brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack. Not that I ever did. I didn't do any of that.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. I didn't do that either. None of that. Nothing in my veins.
Good man.
No. I might have done some bad shit, but I didn't do that bad shit. So I don't need nothing. I don't need no needles, and I don't need nothing going up my nose.
There's too much in life to get a good time on us. You don't have to add things to it.
Me think good after 6-pack. Yes. Yes. My brain has left the building. I'm not even that big of a drinker. So, even less so now that the diabetes is, I got the lecture from the doctor. Oh, Mr. Dutton, you're a walking diabetes factory. I am surprised you are still standing here in front of me. You should be dead.
You got it from the other doctor too?
No, that is next Monday.
Oh, okay.
Or Tuesday. It's one of those days.
I never talk to people like that. Never did.
Oh yeah. It was all jokes and fun, and you're a walking diabetes factory. You should be dead. You should not be standing here right now. The fact that you're even conscious is a miracle of science. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so very much. I drank a little before. Like, I think the last time I had a drink before the doctor's stuff was when I was in Dallas with Psychodor. So it's just like, damn, man, that was October. So yeah, I've got like a cabinet full of booze, but I almost never drink it.
It's just something I gotta say. I worked with I don't know how many thousands of people. I fired patients. You're being a jerk. Goodbye. I won't see you anymore. It is always nice to work with someone who takes to heart the recommendations that you give, and you have. You're not a patient, but I do give you recommendations that you've said it before, and it's very rewarding to see people get better. and to do better because they actually listen to your advice.
Well, yeah, of course I'm going to listen to you.
You'd be surprised how many people don't, especially family.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Man, okay, so I've cut down on sugar. I do still have every once in a while, I know it's bad for me, I'll have a 7.5 ounce Coke. That's a mini. Okay, that's almost half of the regular ones. So, but I don't have 20 ounces. I don't go down to the gas station and get the 64-ounce bladder busters anymore. I don't do any of that shit. So every once in a while I have a soda, but it's not often. Very rarely.
Good.
So I take my medicine. I've got fucking gallbladder medicine. Nobody wants to sit here and listen to my talk about all the fucking bullshit.
No, but I just wanted to say it's very refreshing to have someone who actually listens to your advice and takes it to heart.
And we did. We drank a little while we were watching Wrath of Khan. That was so fun. It's one of the funnest things I've ever gotten to do with all of you crazy people. Was when everyone came out to Dallas to hang out for Valhalla Con. We sat down and we watched Wrath of Khan together. And I having a whole room, Khan and buried alive, and just quoting the movie. We were all hanging out, all talking. Mr. CCDV was like, man, wait for this part, man. It's going to be so great. And DJ Ronnie G and Mike and everybody was just so great. It was so great, man. It was so great to hang out and get to watch a movie and just chill with the group, man. I mean, we don't do that enough. We really
That's
don't.
true. That's
You've
true.
got meetups, like huge meetups, right? How often do you see them like sitting down and we're all gonna just watch a movie? Me and Mike were gonna rent out a damn theater to watch it in, and nobody wanted to rent it out. They were like, nope, no. And if you do, it's like got to be a movie they want, to let you watch. And I'm like, no, I want to watch Wrath of Khan in 4K. So
it's an unfortunate thing when we were young, and I'm sure it was the same with you. The important thing was getting together. Someone may not like the movie, but I went to places where we're going to watch this. I care less about the movie, but I'm with you guys. That's the whole thing. Beach parties, all kinds of things. It's the getting together that's a lost thing for adults, and it's good that you guys did that. And I wish I could have been there.
Man, we wish you could have been there too. It was so we got to do one out in your neck of the woods. That way we'll come to
out in the middle of cow fields. Yeah,
we'll come to Adega. We'll go to Adega. We'll go to Adega and we'll hang out with Adega. Yeah, man, cow fields, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Y'all want to come to Williams on February 18th? I got an extra room. It sucks I'm not going to do any traveling this year. I'm in penny pincher mode.
Yeah, it's worth it though. It's worth it. She's worth it.
That's right. But I'm in penny saver mode. We are going to go out for Valentine's Day, but it's going to be a very low-key thing that we're doing.
With burnt burger.
Burnt burger. We're going to go to Dave & Buster's and just play some video games. And I mean, we were thinking, this 4-course, dress up, get dressed up, do all this stuff. And finally we sat down and we're like, look, I mean, it's going to cost $140 a person. Do we have the money to do that? Yeah. Can we spend the money to do that? No, because everything's going towards October for the wedding. So, it's the company, not the activity. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And no, I don't. Michelle O'Rourke Johansson, absolutely not. Good evening, jesters. Darth, Arlena. How are you doing, Arlena? Lady Mist, I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well. Heck yeah. Lady Mist is doing good. Mr. CTVD is doing good. I saw your floor, dude. It looks absolutely excellent. All that hard work paid off, man. I used to cook every Valentine's meal. Thank God I don't have to anymore. There you go. William Jackson, what is up? Zombie Box Review. Good evening. Hope you are well. What are we talking about tonight? Because I know that you were like, I just want to talk about something. And
Well,
I don't have to read shit. We can just talk.
it's not. I don't think we're gonna go that far. There's been things I've phone calls a couple years ago, and you may not remember most of it. As we go through this, you'll probably remember. I prefer that you don't mention things. I have had recently several, not just one or two. I've had several people, and why it came out all of a sudden, I don't know. But several people started asking me, "Well, why is it that you know this stuff? Why is it? What turned you on to studying these dark things and everything?" And again, you know some of this, and you can tell people when I'm dead. But other than that, I'd prefer it not to come out. But I will share some of it. And when I was 1984 was a big year for me. I remember being on a camp out with a bunch of guys. One of my friend's dads was there, and he was a guy, and I think I shared this with you people before, who worked with McDonnell Douglas at the time. They were doing high-end military contracts, and he couldn't tell us too much, but he gave us hints enough to where we figured it out, and he'd smile, when we figured it out. It was just because he knew we were honest kids and we wouldn't share, and we never did. Which reminds me, I'm going to share something else that I can share now. Time's gone by far enough since I could talk about this patient. But he was talking about stuff that they were developing where a person could pilot a plane or drive a tank without having to use any controls, about it being hot-wired straight into the brain. And they had it working at the time. This is in 84, which meant the computing power that they had then is far beyond what we have now. But they had it then. They were working with some hidden technologies that we still don't have. Again, another thing that this isn't related. I'll get back to the 84. But it was 17 years ago now, maybe a little less than that, where I had a patient who worked with a company in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And their main focus, they did other things, but they had technology with light. And what they would do is when a signal along a fiber optic was traveling a certain distance, anyone who knows light and physics, it gets resistant, even if it's in an optical cable. And say every 100 feet, the signal will start to degrade just a little bit. And they built devices on an electron level. And he showed me some of the electron scopes of these little teeny gears of stuff that would actually move photons, where it would accelerate the light again. You wouldn't have a degradation of signal. So you could travel clear across the country and you would still have the same signal almost. This was, 2018, 15 years ago. But one of the things they worked on, and I do think I shared innuendos of this, they had a technology. It was based on terahertz. And those of you who read my sci-fi stuff know that I use the terahertz because I understand what the technology is. When the space shuttle started having issues, what they would do to check the tiles is they had a thumper machine that would go along, make sure it was glued, and it would thump every tile to make sure they didn't vibrate. Well, the problem was even just thumping it sometimes would cause it to vibrate and shake some of the glue loose. They had developed this terahertz technology where they could stand meters, dozens of meters away, shine this light on them that is non-visible, and they could tell where the gaps were and be able to correct it without even touching the ship. That same technology could also be adapted and was adapted to where they could put it in a gun that was very similar to like a radar gun that the cops use. And they could tell from a distance, even bouncing off of mirrors, if there were people carrying weapons, if they were carrying something chemical, something explosive. And they were designing this for airports so that no one would have to be frisked, no one would have to stay in line, no one would have to do anything. They would just be in some room shining these little lights around the place, and they would know who the problem was without anyone having to be fussed over at all. But we had a president at the time who had contracted with X-ray machines that do penetrate regardless of what they say, which do cause radiation to the body regardless of what they say, and made a ton of money by slapping these things into all these different places, all these metal detectors, all these X-ray things at the airports. None of that is necessary. And we've been lied to because I've seen the technology work. Now let's go back to 84 when things started off. Again, the main point, the reason why this was all set up, I'm not going to get into. When I'm dead, someone can tell the story. But I was contacted on the phone by a guy, and he says, "Hey, we're going to be sending you a book. Want you to look at it. Tell us what you think. I'll give you a call back later." And I thought that was the weirdest phone call I had ever gotten. You know, I'm in high school. It went in and out of my brain, you know, thinking that someone caught a kid, didn't want to sell him something on the phone. I just figured it was, you know, something like that. And then a couple weeks later, my mom comes to me and she has this book. And if you guys look this up, you'll be able to see for yourself, but they're hard to find, but they're there. It was a book called Who's Who in America. It's about the 100 people in America with the greatest minds, the greatest potential, all these things. And I was in that. And they had a portrait of me, a picture of me that I never took, which made me think, how in the heck were they able to reproduce an image of me accurately, put it in a book for something that I never sat for? That picture had never been taken. And it had my name, had all my details in there. So it was freaky. The next day, I got a phone call from the guy. And he says, "How do you like the book?" And I said, "What's this for?" And he says, "Well, these are the people that we watch. You know, they're the important people. These are the ones that are the movers and shakers of the world. And we want you to be part of it. We'll make sure you get the best education you are never going to want for money. And you can come work for us." And I tell you,
that doesn't sound like creepy at all.
Right. This is 84. They did not have print shop. We did not have the technology to do this. At least I didn't think we did. We were not told that we did. We're still using Polaroids and film for cameras for the most part. And yet I was accurately put into this book. And that got me thinking from the things that led up to this point. And like I said, you know what I'm talking about, right, Loki? The things that led up to that, I learned at that point there is people lying and people behind the scenes that could do stuff that they don't tell you about, far beyond the technology that we have. I had an invite to this stuff, but the hair on the back of my head was standing up so high that I said, "Nope, can't do it." And he says, "You know what? Your future is made. You will have everything you ever wanted. You'll be in the best schools, and you're turning down everything." But I knew something was wrong. So I walked away from it. That's when it started. Having firsthand of experience with this darkness, but an incredible amount of hidden technologies and abilities. That's where my curiosity. So those of you who asked recently, I know a couple of probably listening, and anyone else who may catch it later. That's what started me off to wondering about these things. Who are these people? What's going on behind the scenes? Why are we being lied to? Because the vast majority of the stuff that you see is a lie or truth with a lot of lies thrown in to make you believe things that aren't as they should be. So that's what I wanted. I needed to answer that question for a few people who've been asking recently. So there you have it. That's why I do what I do.
You brought up the control system, the helmet control system. So a lot of people know about the F-35 Lightning, the Lightning II, whatever you want to call it. There's multiple models. and why that particular plane is so expensive, and why it had to have such a radical redesign in the middle of the prototype going into production. Not what a lot of people do not know, and you gotta kind of put the puzzle pieces together here on your own. There is a program called the Valkyrie Project that the United States Navy initiated, and what the Valkyries are, they are drones, autonomous drones. That's what the label says. Now, these drones are launched off of an aircraft carrier in conjunction with an F-35 Lightning II. The pilot has direct control over the drones, but there is no control system for the drones in the cockpit. Right. It's helmet controlled. They're controlled through the helmet of the pilot. Now, these drones can be forced to fly in front of a missile, to shoot chaff, to fire weapons. They do everything under the control of the pilot, but it's called an autonomous drone. Yet the pilot has absolute control over the drones through the helmet. Nothing handheld. It's all through the helmet.
One pilot for 6 ships.
One pilot for 6 planes. So to comment really quick on what, and that's a fact. That's a fact, Jack. There ain't no BS. There ain't no none of that. This isn't conjecture. This isn't hyperbole. This is fact. Mr. CCDB, you're gonna love this, Mr. CCDB. So when I was working as a truck driver, we got a young Marine straight out of the Marine Corps. He was 23 years old. He had just gotten out, and I had no idea if he knew about what you're talking about. So I threw it at him. I think he'd been where I worked for 3 or 4 months, and I said, "Hey, before you take that hot truck out, make sure you change that winter air in them tires out for summer." And he goes, "Huh?" And I said, "You got to change the winter air out of the tires." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "You've got to change the air out. They're different pressures. So you're going to have to take the air out of the tires and refill it with summer air instead of winter air." And he goes, "Oh, well, yeah, of course. What do you think? I'm dumb?" And I was like, "Okay." He literally called the tire company that we replace our tires with, and had him come out. And he's standing outside talking to him, and he's like, he's yelling and he's pointing at the tires, and he walks off like he is the bee's knees happiest my shit doesn't stink former Marine that I had ever seen. And that driver comes in and he goes, "All right, who did it?" And I just started laughing. And he goes, "Summer air, ha 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 ha." Oh my God! Not that Marines are all gullible. He was very young, and he had no. I figured he'd know. Someone, obviously, he came over from supply, Mr. CCDB. If that explains anything, but he apparently no one ever had pulled that on him. And I was like, "Oh yeah, get him with the winter air, summer air." It took many years to bring 5th gen fighters into service. They have 6th gen fighters that were designed and flown in less than a year now. Yes. Absolutely. Dean Krantz, what's up, Dean? Good evening. Says, buddy of mine is a sergeant major that is getting ready to retire. Every Marine rifle squad now has a drone operator. Yes. Absolutely.
But that's just what you see is the rank and file, where the true, not the special forces of, but the hidden forces, they're sitting in a room under some rock in the middle of the U.S. or in the various different countries, and they're flying these things just by thought. Things that a lot of people consider UFOs. It's our stuff. Some of it's international stuff.
Did you hear about the Area 51 guy that got raided?
Bob Lazar, did they raid him?
Okay, so I don't know, I don't remember if that's his name or not, but what happened is there's the guy that warns people. Okay, if you're gonna come out to Area 51, don't go here, don't go here. You're gonna see signs posted. Don't go past this. He's got pictures up. He's the do and don't guy. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. This is what they will arrest your ass for if you try and do. He's got his own website. All of his homes got raided. He's got 3 different homes. The FBI did over $20,000 in damage. They will not compensate him. They will not give him his property back. They will not tell him what they took from his property. They refuse to answer any questions. He has lawyered up. They refuse to tell the lawyers anything, and they just tell them, you're tough titty. National security, eat our ass. It's that level of sorry, but you don't need to know what we took. Right. You don't need to know why we were there. All you need to know is we've got your stuff, and no, we're not going to pay you for the damage you did the damage we did to either one of your properties. That's nuts. That's absolute insanity.
It should not be either.
No. I mean, this is just a guy, and he helps people avoid going into places they don't need to go to that they can get arrested for. And that's his biggest problem. He's like, it's not like I'm teaching people how to circumvent anything or get to places they don't need to be or anything like that. I'm the guy that tells them, don't go here because you will be arrested. And they won't tell them what they took, and they won't tell them why they were there, and they won't tell them shit. He's got a lawyer that, like I said, $20,000 worth of damage on both of his properties. That's in total. That's not for each. That's in total damages, and they won't do shit. They won't compensate him for the money. They won't give him back whatever they took. They won't acknowledge they took anything. They won't, if we do have something of yours, you don't need to know, and you don't need to know why we took it. Good luck. This is the United States government, ladies and gentlemen. They do not give a shit, and they don't have to give you an answer.
Which it's all illegal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what's crazy. This is not the country I grew up in.
Actually, it is. You just haven't seen it until recently.
Wow. I don't know. This isn't the company this isn't the country I was raised to believe I lived in. How about that?
Right. What it's supposed to be and what it is are two different things.
Yes. The fact that people are held hostage, what we were talking about this morning, the people are held hostage. Well, you can't say that. If you say that, we're going to take your job. We're going to take your ability to earn. We're going to cancel you. We're going to take your home. It's do not speak. Do not speak out because we will ruin you. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. There's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. That's not the America I thought I was growing up in. Right there. So, I mean, he's passed away, so I guess I can talk about this. One afternoon, I think I was 15 or 16 years old. My dad was like, want to see something cool? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And we go out to the garage, and he had all these binders of all kinds of stuff. He had Russian boats, all kinds of stuff he wasn't supposed to have. And there was a certificate for them to carry nuclear weapons. And it was military. It was like, on eyes only certificate to carry nuclear weapons. And I was like, holy shit. And he goes, I was supposed to turn all this stuff in when I left, but I kept it. I was like, okay, that's cool. The story about the Russian sub in San Diego. I mean, nothing can get past the U.S. sonar net. Nothing's getting past the U.S. sonar net. Yeah, it has. And yeah, they do. So there are pictures out there. Whether those pictures were burned or not, whatever. But that was his job. He flew an S-3A Viking. They hunted submarines, mostly Russian submarines. And when you see a Russian submarine in San Diego in the harbor, and the suits are there when you get back to the ship, because they were just they were on like a training thing before they went out. And he caught a Russian submarine in the San Diego harbor. And when they get back, the suits are there going, give us the film. As soon as they developed that film, it was suits are here, give us the film. Nothing ever happened. You didn't see anything. There was no submarine. Oh, wow.
Right.
And he did it the exact same way that this guy did it, because they were about to use a big tanker, like a hat, just like Kelsey Grammer did in down Periscope. They were going to move underneath a ship and sit there and use it so that they couldn't detect the what do they call it? The sound from the propeller.
Right.
Arg! Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit of my story. So don't ask again.
Don't ask. Wake. Thank you, Asaj Melody. You can hear it's wake. Cavitating. Thank you. That's what it is. It's called cavitating.
That's when I hit the brakes.
Cavitation. Psychodorp 9 just threw it out there right after I said it. Yes, cavitation. I'm cavitating. Yeah, making noise.
All right.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on, all kinds of things happening. I know you wanted to. We talked a little bit about you want to jump on this morning with the basically. I mean, they're tying people's hands behind their back, and if you stand up, be prepared, because it's all, well, you're going to face consequences. I mean, hell, they're going after their own kind. These people eat their own kind.
Mm-hmm.
And look at, you know what I heard, the craziest thing. I can't remember who the hell I was listening to this morning, but I was listening to somebody this morning, and they were talking about the it was that video you sent me, Adega, of the Grammys, right?
Oh yeah, that
the
Sam
Smith thing.
Yeah,
that they do not care. They will put it in your face. They do not care. There are no consequences and repercussions for these people that do this shit. But if you get out of line and you say anything these people don't like, you're gone. Whereas they can do anything, they can say anything, they can act any way they want, as long as they use the correct political jargon, as long as they use the correct pronouns, they can get away with whatever they want to. Whereas if you try and stand up and say anything, you're screwed. They're going to take you out. They're going to remove you from what you do. They're going to take your home away. They're going to do whatever the hell they want to. When did we become socialists in America? Because that's all that is. It's socialism. That's socialism practiced in America. You know what's really
they're preying upon the. It used to be, what did they say? Tolerance. They're preying upon the tolerance, and we've gotten so weak at resisting and just pretending that we're tolerant that they plow over us now, and not for me anymore. No. And that was part of the thing I was going to get on this morning, was if I had the ability to, was they're stealing the identity of the XX instead of the XY. You know, the women fought for rights for all these years, and now they're losing it all.
Yeah.
All of it. And I'm not talking feminism or otherwise. It's just the identity of being a woman is now nebulous and destroyed. in some circles. Out here in the Midwest, we don't have a problem with that. But there are swaths across the country where that battle is being fought, and you cannot sit down. You be one willing to grab someone by the scruff of the neck and say, hey, this bathroom was not meant for you. Or that child should not be seeing that foul stuff that you're doing.
That's right.
Or you as an adult shouldn't even think things like that. It's not even in the realm of a normal, decent human being. You have degenerated and you can't tolerate it anymore. No. Tolerance is a word that is used for people who are trying to do good. It is not used for an excuse to do evil.
Exactly. No, I absolutely agree with you. And for a really long time, there were a lot of us that were like, you know what, live and let live. Whatever the hell you want to do in your bedroom, as long as you're not hurting anybody, like a child or forcing something, do whatever the hell you want to do. That ain't none of my business. But now they're making it everybody's business. Now they're saying, well, children have a right to choose. Children have a right to consent. And no, children do not have a right to consent. There is no consenting for a child. They do not understand what that consent is. They have no idea what they are doing. No
There's
force. William Jackson, yes.
Stockholm syndrome is a point of taking someone from rational adult thought, driving them back into susceptibility to aberrant or deviant or even sometimes counter thoughts and actions to what a decent person would be. Children are very, very susceptible to that. It is not a matter of them making a conscientious choice. It's a matter of them being coerced because of their ease at being manipulated. And it's wrong. I stand for decency at all times.
No, absolutely. And talking about the socialist thing, I was watching what the hell were we watching? We were watching the Blues Brothers, the original Blues Brothers, because Eris had never seen it. And they've got the Yahtzee Socialist Party, right? So Yahtzee Socialist Party that goes after the Blues Brothers and tries to take down the Blues Brothers because they like make them jump off a bridge. They're going to bring their car through and just walk right through their march or whatever they're doing. And they've got a actor that is Jewish playing the head of the Yahtzee Socialist Party. And I understand this is all a big joke. This was all a big joke. This is what's going on now, though. They aren't saying this is what we are. They're just being them. They're making lists. They're putting you on lists. Yep. They're putting people on lists. Yep. They are denying you your freedoms. They're saying you must publicly show your support for this, or we will demonize you and crucify you. You either have to be complicit with what they're doing, or they will cancel you. That is why they've gone after J.K. Rowling. That is why they've gone after other people. That's why they went after, what's her name, that played Cara Dune in Star Wars, because you must be complicit with their activities. It is no longer acceptable for you to just go, you know what, I'm going to turn my back on this. I'm not going to pay any attention to this. Whatever you want to do, that is no longer acceptable. You must be complicit with it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I learned from this guy sitting next to me. It's not about getting your acceptance. It's about making you complicit with what they are doing. You have to be complicit, and you have to publicly show your support and that you are complicit with their activities and what they are doing. Otherwise, they will get rid of you.
And in some ways, and don't take this too far to the extreme, but in some ways they are the victims too, because the whole plan, and some of you guys know what we talked about it over a year ago, the Georgia Guidestones. But these people, like the ones who tried to contact me, I believe it's the same organization, different department, want to eliminate all but 500 million of the population. They want to wipe out 7 billion people. There's multiple ways to do that. We have toxins in the foods, which cause various different maleffects to humans, whether it be from cancers or various different psychotic things,
Diabetes.
diabetes. The amount of depression that is going on nowadays isn't because necessarily of society, some of its toxins, but they also are through media and various different other means using their little puppets who portray lifestyles that are against families, whatever form your family takes. It is against them. It destroys the next generation and depletes the population. You have people that are willingly sterilizing themselves now instead of being the adult and sharing with another generation things that would make things better in the future. Instead, they're destroying it all. I think it's all part of a design. And these people that are putting you on lists are just like the brown shirts from way back when, or the black shirts who would destroy buildings, set fires, burn,
Beat
abuse,
people in the street.
beat people in the streets, all in the name of their ideology. And they were just as much tools as the people that are doing it now are tools. And what stops it? We had the greatest generation 100 years ago that stood up. I do believe we have another one growing up right now that will put an end to it. There's things going on that I don't want to talk about, but things may not always be pleasant, may not always be happy, but in the long run, it's all going to be corrected. Just make sure you know which side you're on. Again, I talk too much. I don't want to get into too many things that I've been privy to over the years, because it's you guys wouldn't trust my opinion if I told you what I actually have in my skull. I just give you bits and pieces. So, but then getting back to that subject, they're all tools for a bigger agenda, and none of it has anything good for you. Sit down, consume, absorb, be tolerant to all the depravity that we're forcing on you and your children. And don't complain, or we're going to get you fired from your job. We're going to get you arrested. We're going to take your kids away, which, you hear stories around the world, even up in the snow Mexicans now are voluntarily and involuntarily eliminating certain people and is sending them on to the long sleep simply because they are surplus. We never thought we'd see that again. And yet it's happening. And not just to the snow Mexicans.
Speaking of snow, good evening. Snowed up. How are you?
Say his name 3 times and he shows.
Snowed up. That's right. Snowed up. Snowed up. Snowed up. Snowed up. Candyman. 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 Holy
So
shit.
yeah, I didn't mean to get that deep in the weeds, but I did want to answer several people's question publicly why I get into this, because it directly hit me when I was young.
Be prepared. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
That was a fun show. I like that show.
Oh yeah, original Lion King. Oh yeah.
No. I was thinking, was it Hoodwinked?
Hoodwinked.
It was the goat, because I was prepared.
Oh god.
Song about being prepared. Different horns that he had put on for different occasions.
He kept hearing snow. That's what summoned him. Puff, 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 puff. I read sci-fi novels saying government would be the enemy. Shit. Just look at history. Look at history from when America first became America. You don't even got to go back further than that. Just go back to when America first became America and look at history through that history.
Yeah,
and
it was
history
interesting.
repeats itself.
We talked about that too. That was something where I brought up about the Masons. At the time, the vast majority of the Masons were exactly what they said they were. But there was a group in Europe that started in with some of these, and I've read it. I've given you all the receipts over the years if you want to go back and look for them. But they started off in one of the Masonic groups there and have tried to infiltrate all of them. They've got a good foothold in a lot of them, but you cannot say the Masons are bad because there's still a lot of them that are exactly what they say they are. But there are those that aren't. So,
As long as we have some honest people left.
Yep, because the Masons that were in the founding fathers of the United States were all good people, contrary to this false history that, where they say, well, what's his name had kids to slave us. No, that was his brother. The DNA proves it wasn't him. They had freed black people, they had women, they had a lot of really good people that were fighting for the revolution, doing death-defying stuff, all fighting for it. It wasn't just one group of people that were of one color using another color to get what they wanted. That's all a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. And next time anyone tries to talk shit to you or anybody else about how what is it, the expansionist and all that shit, all you got to tell them is my people came here fleeing religious persecution. Because guess what? The original settlers, that's why they came here. That's why they took that boat trip. That's why they risked their lives to get away from religious persecution. They wanted to worship the religion they wanted to worship without having to deal with anybody else, without having to deal with the government in Europe, without having to be sold down the river and told they were trash or treated differently. They just wanted to go and do their own thing. And that's exactly what they did. They were fleeing religious persecution, which is no different than whatever they say, whatever the asylum seekers want today. That I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah. And then they complain about, and because I'm native and I could say this, but they talk about, well, we took the land from them. Well, the natives, all the various different tribes, took it from the ones that were before them called the Hopewell, the Hopewell.
Yep. And they lived in mud huts.
And who took it from the Adena, who were the mound builders. Most of them were giants. This is a cycle. And most of the natives did not get wiped out in North America. They actually decided, hey, you know what? These people are pretty good looking. We're going to just go hang out with them, and joined in that way. Real history shows that there were bad apples on both sides, but also the vast majority of them were the good. And but the natives that were before the colonists did some really horrible things to the Hopewell, who did some really horrible things to the Adenas. So yeah, it just the argument holds no water.
I don't know if you'll agree with me on this or not, Adega, but honestly, if we don't start doing something to get off this ball of wax, ain't nobody getting off this ball of wax.
Oh,
It's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm all for. Yeah, that's what my books are about. If you look at the phrase evolution, if that was a real thing, then it means that there is a species that becomes superior to other species and learns to utilize the resources best. Well, that in itself comes to the ultimate conclusion that that final species has to move on and expand. We, as a species, need to be out there as far as we could reach.
Agreed. As far as we can go, with as many backups as possible.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're getting out of here. We'll do a Grimm's fairy tale next week. Thank you so much. Big thank you to Adega. We've gone a little bit longer than we normally go. Thank you,
sidetracked. Sorry.
Well, I enjoy interesting conversations, my friend. And this has been definitely an interesting conversation, and you piqued my interest this morning when you were like, "I'd come on, but I got this happening." I'm like, "Dude, you're always welcome on." I've been sitting here
You've
going,
told me that a
I wonder
lot.
what I wonder what Adega was thinking about this morning. So it's good to talk about it.
Yeah.
It is good to talk about it. Guys, take care. Thank you, Lady Mist. Everybody take care. Be excellent to each other. Thank you, Chris Persia, Psychodorf 9, We Are Universe 16, Mr. CCDB. Good times, y'all. Dave Bob, what is up, brother? Thank you. Dean Krantz, thank you for being here, my friend. Eastland Burkholder, it is good to see you, Eastland Burkholder. William Jackson, guys, take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. We'll see you guys next week on 7 Kinds of Mischief. Have a great one, everybody.
Good night.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.